Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Professionally Curious. We are featuring the 100 most insightful crypto founders. And today I'm joined by Michael, who I have known actually for quite a long time. I think we first met when you were still at a16z as an investor and partner there. Yeah, it's cool that we kind of continue to stay in touch throughout my career as well. So I have a big thank you owed to you, throughout Coinbase, Optimism, and Alio. Three for three,
Yeah,
three
yeah, yeah,
portfolio
yeah.
companies,
Been a lot. Been a lot.
all part of the ACNZ
Wait, were
portfolios.
you on the Coinbase NFT team? Was that where
I
we?
was,
Yeah,
yeah, that's where
yeah,
we first got
yeah,
connected.
cool.
Exactly. I remember that. Yeah, you were
That was
tinkering
fun.
with some what was it? Was it like a God, now I'm
We'll
blanking. It's
go over it.
something to do
I'll
with
definitely talk
dynamic
about
NFT, right?
it.
Was
Yeah,
I
yeah.
wrong?
Say it again?
Like a dynamic NFT.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, no, let's get into all of that. I would love to kind of give the audience a rundown of your career, very long-standing career of your, what brought you into crypto, what brought you to Royal, and now Bond. Yeah,
Sure.
let's hear it,
Well, maybe we start at the beginning, and I'll try to make this short. I think
please.
I guess you would call it career in the world professionally began as a magician. Actually, I started performing magic when I was very young in like middle school and high school. That was like I guess you'd call it my job. I would, do gigs on the weekends and I would perform at like the Magic Castle in LA, even though I'm originally from Vegas. And when I went to school, I went to Washington University in St. Louis. My roommate at the time was an engineer. I knew nothing about coding. I never thought of myself as being an engineer. I never wanted to be an engineer. Definitely not like the path I was going for. And I had an idea for a magic trick that involved code. So someone had to like build an app for me. And so we would work on it on the weekends. And he like kind of gave me the source code. And then he actually left school. And unfortunately, I have not heard from him. I can't even like contact my old friend. Almost disappeared off the face of the planet.
Did you
But I
make
was
him disappear with magic?
yeah, I don't know. Maybe it wasn't for him. He dropped out, but I completely lost touch with him. But I was left with this code base. And so I was like, okay, like I needed a science credit. I might as well just take like CS. I think it was called 131 or something at my school, but whatever, 101, like the beginning. And I completely fell in love with it. I'm like, wow, like this is amazing. I completely fell in love with writing code. And it was really out of the source of building a magic trick, right? And then I was originally majoring in like finance. So I started to like, I was going deeper down the finance route, but I was also learning the computer science stuff. And so eventually my career path was like, oh, like maybe I'll go work, as a trader or, like a quant or something like that. Like that, it seemed appealing to me because I really like the finance stuff. I obviously like the coding stuff. I like the magic stuff too, but I felt that was a really good career path. And I ended up interning and then accepting an offer at BlackRock to do some like portfolio analytics stuff there. But what's interesting is after school, after I graduated, it was COVID. Spent a lot of time at home. And my brother, who couldn't be with us today, unfortunately, was very into crypto. And of course, like as a younger brother, I'm like, oh, like what's this all about? Like it's finance, it's code. Those are both two things that I know about. Like I could understand this. I'll check it out. And I started to experiment with DeFi and NFTs, and I learned all about that stuff. And I completely fell in love with the industry and the possibility and the tech. I was, learning how to write smart contracts. That was like the first thing I did. I'm pretty sure I like deployed a smart contract on chain before I had ever like connected a wallet to a website to use an app. I feel like that was like second for me. Like it was always about like really learning how the tech worked. And then I was like just starting BlackRock. It was like time for me to actually go full time. And I was like, I really love crypto. Like I want to do crypto. And I had met Ariana Simpson from a16z, and she sort of famously saved me from the clutches of traditional finance. And so I quit BlackRock after 2 weeks. I went to a16z and I was there for I guess like 3.5, maybe a little more than that years on the investment team, investing in crypto startups and getting to do what I love, which is spend all my day thinking, tinkering, and exploring the frontier of crypto. And so it was an absolute blast. And then, when the administration changed and, a lot of the crypto regulatory environment started to improve with that, after seeing all of these startups over the years and like which ones worked, which ones didn't, and I learned a ton about just startups in general from my time at A16Z. I was like, well, I think it might be time. I had my own opinion about how I think things should work in crypto and or different types of apps, and I wanted to build it. And at the time, my brother, also the founder of Royal, has been building stuff in crypto all for many years. Actually, I think he launched Royal around the same time that I joined Andreessen Horowitz. We
Mm,
sort of were going parallel tracks here. And I'm
right.
like, well, my brother is building crypto stuff. I want to build crypto stuff. He's my brother. And so why don't we, join forces and try to build something new? And so I joined the Royal team. Royal, the name has now changed to Bond, and we're building this new thing called Bond. So that's like the quick summary. Sorry, that might have been a little rambly, but that's my
No,
story.
no, no. No, it's I always thought that you were probably like the youngest investment partner at a16z, right? Because whenever I heard about your story, I was just like, wow, you really kind of like demonstrated the
I
interest
wasn't the
in.
youngest. Well, so when I joined, the youngest, I think there were two of us. It was me and
Mm,
Kara Wu. We were both the youngest. And then later on, Noah Citron joined on the
mhm.
engineering team, and then he actually became the youngest. So
Okay, fair.
we were still at the bottom. We were definitely on that.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But you always like strike me as somebody who's very interesting in kind of founding your own company. So I wasn't surprised, I'll be honest. Like as a friend, when I saw your journey, right? I wasn't surprised that you ended up leaving the investment world to found your company. Even when you're organizing the CSX, the A16Z crypto startup school, I just felt like yeah, there's always like very creative and constructive feedback that you're giving to all these different founders, and that's a big source of like a inspiration, right, for your career. So yeah, let me maybe dig into that part a little bit more, right? So when you made that switch from in the investment side to coming over to founding your company, we're actually become the Blau Brothers company, joining your brother. What was the biggest surprise, and any sort of advice to anybody who's considering that switch?
Biggest surprise, that's a great question. I think in general, when you're on the investment side, you have this unbelievable benefit of being able to have a bird's eye view of the industry, but also of startups. And you see you're like basically have this luxury to spend your whole day hyper focused on like a handful of startups and their life cycles and all of the things that they do that work and the things that they do that don't work. And you get to talk to a lot of founders, and you're sort of like getting the startup experience from the outside and learning a lot of it. And so that's really good for informing a lot of the decisions that I make today. It's really good for strategy and comparing and contrasting what I'm doing versus what other people have done in the past. But I think it's a very different thing than like being in the driver's seat, right? And being the one who is, making the decisions or the product choices, the operating role. And that comes with a lot of just like other things that you just obviously you don't see, right? When you're, from the outside looking in as an investor, you only see the big things, like the big roller coaster moves, right? As an investor, whereas now in the operator seat, it's like every day is like a little something new, right? And so I think that was definitely the biggest learning. And by the way, I'm still learning how to do that. I'm still learning how to be an operator and work on a team and stuff like that. So I think that's probably the biggest change,
Yeah.
maybe is what I'd say.
Yeah, no, I mean, founder to founder, I think that was like so spot on. The
And
fact that, yeah, you go from like the almost like the traffic controller to like being in the driver's seat, right? And then like, yeah, actually you get to decide, but it's also like come with such a high risk reward, right? So
yeah.
you could easily, hopefully, make a 10 bagger happen
Well,
for everybody.
when you're an investor and if you have an opinion, because obviously we're seeing tons of pitches all day, we're seeing the bird's eye view of the industry. Eventually, you start to have an opinion about where things might be going or where things should
Mhm.
go. And as an investor, like the way that you take action on that is either you invest in a company that matches your vision or you tweet about it
Right.
with the hopes that maybe like some really smart young founder like looks up to you as an investor, sees your tweet, and like maybe goes to build that company, right? And so that's how you like take action on your opinions, right?
Hmm.
In this world, it's different. Like if I have an opinion about how I think, the industry should develop or whatever, I have to now go do it, right? Like I have to
Yeah.
build the thing. And so it's just like a different outlet for, taking your ideas of where things are going and putting it into the world.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think both you and Justin are still like not shying away from, being a thought leader on Twitter too, right? So that's something I really do admire. I mean, yeah, maybe let's zero in on that, right? Like in terms of, I remember having this really cool conversation with you, when we were just hang out at the base camp, right? You were talking about like you don't have any BD people, like everybody on the team is engineer. How do you feel about being your own BD guy, right? Like kind of like, yeah, basically running your own go-to-market strategy, like still riding on basically like this very early, even though the company itself it's been around for, right, 9 years,
Yeah,
is that correct?
not 9, maybe like 5 or something.
5 years, I'm sorry. Yeah,
Whereas
it's
the
just
product, the
seems like a
product is
long time.
yeah, the new product is like months old, whereas the
5
company,
years still a long time.
yeah,
Yeah. But yeah, you guys keep it very strategically lean. Yeah, tell me a little bit more about like your thinking towards BD and marketing.
yeah. Well, transparently, it's something that I'm learning as we speak. It's not easy and it's very hard. I think that at the end of the day, this idea that we're building, which we'll obviously get to talking about, is something that I and my brother and I have thought about for hours and hours on end. We lose sleep over it. We dream about it. We've also explained it to a lot of people through the course of everyday conversations. What are you working on? What are you building? Why are you leaving a16z to go do this? Right. And so we explain it so much. And so in the early stages, we are the best people to explain it, right? Because it's in our heart and we believe this to be the way the future should work. If you hire somebody, you could obviously sell them on it and bring them into your I guess you call it religion or cult of a company and try and make them believe and see the world like you do. But at the end of the day, it has to come from your heart. And something that I learned as a magician was, when you perform, like when you watch performers, you can tell when there's a performer who they're just putting their heart into it. That the amount of energy and effort, it's amazing because in magic they call it's one of the veils of mystery in magic because I can't even explain it. I can't put it into the words. I can't tell you exactly what it is, but you just know. When this person talks, when they perform, you can just tell that they genuinely believe in it and their whole heart is in it. And that is so important when you're trying to onboard new people to your vision or to your platform. And unfortunately, the person you hire is just not going to be able to do that, at least to begin with. Eventually down the line, yes, of course. But in the
Fair,
early
fair,
days, it has to be you.
fair. What happens when the two of you have arguments? Have a division in division.
It's funny. We were at another. I think that's the most popular question that we get asked. So here's what I'll say. I'll say there's a pro and a con. The pro, the best part about working with your brother is that we have infinite trust, right? I completely trust him and he completely trusts me. And so that allows, and as a result of that trust, we can be very open with each other, which means we can be very honest with each other. And sometimes we offend each other through that honesty. Okay. So the pro is that we have an immense amount of trust, but also when we have a disagreement or a discussion, we're brutally honest with each other. And, will we argue sometimes? Sure. But we also make up very quickly because we're brothers. And so you have that benefit. But also we cut through the noise extremely quickly, right? If I feel a certain way, we can just get to it, get brass tacks, really get to it instead of I don't know how to phrase this to my co-founder. I don't want to offend him. There's a whole social dynamic that happens when you're not brothers, which just completely falls down when you're brothers. And so look, it's for better or worse, right? There's
Right.
certainly days where we argue and then there are days where we don't, but at the end of the day we cut through the noise. We're brutally honest with each other. We have no filter and we trust each other, and so it lets us move pretty quickly.
Yeah, and this is it's showing, validating your relationship pretty well with how fast you guys started thinking about this new product angle, right? So let's actually talk about this. Let's clarify, what is Bond? What is the purpose, vision, and the structure role it plays in the creator economy?
Sure. Well, maybe we take a step back. So there are three things that inspired the vision for Bond. And I think these are maybe three criteria that we believe should be true for any creator product, period, but specifically, built on crypto rails. And the first is one I think we could all agree on, table stakes, is that the relationship between a creator and a fan should be on chain. Why? Because it's open, it's transparent, there's no middleman, there's no platform risk, and it's just technologically a net better situation than if you're following somebody on any of the social media platforms that exist today, because you could be deplatformed or censored. And this pitch for why people should build a creator product on crypto rails arguably is actually a little bit tired, right? I think I've seen a ton of pitches that make that the main thing. Every crypto product that is a creator economy, creator focused, use that as like the core reason why they're building what they're building. It's not that it's wrong, it's actually true, and it is one of our 3 pillars, but I'd say that's like the table stakes. I think we could all agree that should be the case. The second is that this one is a little bit different than I think other creator crypto products that have existed, which is we believe that the fans should not lose money. And so, the other side of that is most, we'll call it Web 2 or normal everyday creators, do not want the financial or reputational risk of launching a meme coin or a token or an NFT that goes down in value and then their fans lose money and then they get hurt and then it ruins their career. Nobody wants that, right? And that's a huge stigma that crypto has had, and it's a reason why not a lot of creators really came into the industry because of that reason. They're too afraid, especially with the uncertain regulatory environment, which is hopefully getting fixed really soon. Obviously, a few years ago in the NFT craze, that wasn't the case, but now it is. And so that's like the second bullet point, is that fans shouldn't lose money because creators don't want to take on any financial or reputational risk. And third, when people talk about creator products in crypto, the selling point is always like, let creators earn more by having a direct connection with their audience. The way that manifested in previous crypto products is through trading volume. And so whether it was the first version of NFTs, where a creator would get, secondary royalties on the sale of an NFT, which technologically did not actually work for various reasons we can get into, but in theory, they would get a secondary royalty anytime this NFT would change hands on a marketplace. And then in the new, meme coin, creator coin, content coin era, it's just, trading fees on an AMM. Creators earn those trading fees, and those trading fees come from trading volume. You could have 1,000 people rapidly trade your token, and you could make a lot in fees, but those 1,000 people rapidly trading your token has zero tie to the content and audience you're trying to build as a creator. And so as a result, what we want is, we believe that creators should earn more, not from trading volume increasing, but from their audience increasing. So as your audience grows, you should earn more money, which kind of makes sense, right? And it kind of also maps to how the Web 2 creator economy works, right? Like if you have a lot of followers, more likely that you get influencer status, and then brands want you to sponsor, brands will sponsor you, and then you earn more money from the brands. And so it's sort of like that same idea. The more reach you have, the more you'll earn. And so how do we create a crypto product that checks all these boxes? How do we square this circle, right? How do we get all these things? And that's where Bond comes in. And so to give you the sort of quick description of what exactly is Bond, is a good place to start is like, think about Patreon or Substack, or even on X, where you can subscribe to your favorite creator for, let's say, $5 a month to get access to some exclusive content or bonus content, whatever it is that creator wants to offer. In Bond, instead of paying somebody $5 a month like a subscription, you pay them or bond to them one time. So let's say $5 one time, and you get access to all their stuff. But here's the catch. You, as a user, can actually get your $5 back as a refund anytime you want. And that's because that $5 is not actually getting paid to the creator. Instead, the creator earns interest on your $5. And so as long as you're bonded to the creator, as long as you've bonded $5 to the creator, they are earning interest on your $5. If you want your $5 back, you get your $5 back.
So it's effectively free.
It's effectively free, right? And so the cost, if anything, is the interest that you as a user are giving up to the creator, right? That you could have earned for yourself, but you're giving up to the creator. And that's certainly an opportunity cost. But it's funny because when you actually look at it, like, I think there's a little bit over $4 trillion in checking account deposits in the United States that is not earning any interest. And so there's a lot of money, right, just sitting there not earning any interest that otherwise could be used to support a creator or reflect your belief in somebody else. So that's the high level of what Bond is.
Yeah, for sure. I think, I always like think of this as a new mechanism, to your point, to create a different relationship between the creator and the patrons, and almost create like a win-win situation, right, for both. How, I guess, maybe like give us some concrete like examples. Like, are you guys building the platform, like the marketplace? Are you guys building the protocol behind it, so anybody can use this, almost like white labeling the solution, so any creator can use this to build their own product out of it? Yeah, what's the deliverable? What's the end product?
Sure. So we built the protocol, and we also built an app on top of it, a platform that is it's still an MVP phase. I think we've only been live for like, I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks. Excuse me.
Yeah, I want the invite code.
Yeah,
I
I know.
want to beta testing
Actually,
and
we
see.
removed the invite code, so it's open now. Anyone can go use it.
Okay, okay,
Yeah,
good,
yeah.
good, good.
Sorry, let me just blow my nose real quick. We can edit this
No
out.
problem. No worries. Season. I get it.
So yes, we built the app on top, and the app is specifically for the use case of the bond mechanic, and the bond mechanic being you bond money to somebody, you maintain access to the principal, they earn interest on your bonded amount. So we built that protocol. The user app on top of it right now is very much a fan to creator app. So you bond to a creator. By doing that, you get access to, we call it a broadcast channel, or basically a feed of posts that they might want to, gate exclusively to their fans. Or like my brother, for example, uses it for exclusive songs. So he might have a bunch of unreleased tracks that he's created and makes it hidden behind this bond. So if you want to listen to
That's
these
cool.
songs, you have to bond $10 or however much.
Almost like an Easter egg surprise. I like that.
Exactly. And then there's also, of course, a group chat. So if you want to be in a group chat with others that also believe in this artist, but with the artists themselves, you come on to be a part of a group chat and talk amongst yourself. So that's the core MVP app that exists today that we built. I'll be saying it. So yeah, that's the core MVP that we built today. That being said, the protocol is an open protocol, and we have a ton of ideas of things that you can build with this core mechanic that we're gonna, experiment with as fast as possible to see which one gets the best product market fit. So we're starting with
Yeah.
the creator to fan one, and we'll iterate through different ideas as we get more user data.
Very cool. And which part of this is on chain, right? So the bonding transaction itself obviously happens on chain. And then, yeah, what about like any of the content side is on chain, or like publishing side or sharing side? Yeah.
So great question. All the economics are on chain. And so the flow of funds, the management of how the interest is split between the fan and the creator, all of that is on chain, written in Solidity, and we are deployed on the base layer too. All the other stuff, so the content, the songs, the posts, the group chat, that's all off chain, at least for now. Because I think, there was a part of the previous cycle where a lot of people put a lot of focus on like putting the content itself
Yeah.
on a blockchain. And I think that vision makes a ton of sense for a lot of reasons. Realistically, right now, that's not the thesis that we're testing, right? So, for example, the thesis we're testing is the bonding mechanism itself, not content being on a decentralized platform. And
Yeah.
so, as a result, we're sort of focused on that one mechanic, and the rest we can do in a centralized way. But what's important to understand is, even though when you use the app, we're using Privy, we're using embedded wallets. Everyone has a wallet. It's all on chain. We're abstracting away as much as we possibly can. At the end of the day, each one of these bond profiles that a creator has for their fans, it is owned by their wallet address, and they own it forever. They can take it with them. So if we, as a company, decide to shut down the platform for whatever reason, these smart contracts exist on chain. They could, in theory, take it with them and build another user interface in front of it if they wanted to. So all of that is decentralized in the sense that the creator does have full ownership and control over their fans that have bonded to them.
Makes sense. Is any of this infrastructure being built, I mean, either leveraging or built on some of the legacy Royal protocols? Just curious.
Not at all, actually. So this
Okay.
is
Okay. So it's a
it's
completely,
completely
new
different.
spin-off.
Yeah.
Got
Like
it. Got it.
all of the, smart contracts and accounts and website, everything was built from scratch.
Gotcha, gotcha. One thing I would really want to get into is, I guess, yeah, when we talk about creator, economy, right? I mean, we were talking about all these, like, before Bond existed, right? It's a lot of like creator coins. And frankly, I think the huge amount of rugs that we've seen from some of these creators that ended up just making this coin becoming more like a meme coin that eventually just kind of went down to zero is really giving this whole, even the industry, like a really bad rap, right? So yeah, how are you addressing, I guess, yeah, in terms of like your audience, right? Are we talking about Web3 native audience, or are we talking about these creators are trying to reach out to their normal fans that haven't even tried crypto or blockchain?
We are taking on the incredibly difficult task of trying to market.
Of course you are. Of course.
And
As much as I know you, Michael.
yeah, and the thing about it, right, is when you use the app, like if you go to sign up for join Bond at XYZ, if you go try it, I have done everything I can to hide the wires, okay, and
Yeah.
make the wallets, the transaction fees, even the fact that it's USDC. as invisible as I possibly can. I am doing my very best. Obviously, there are parts of it that still expose some crypto components, but we're going for the mainstream. But that being said, if you are a crypto user and you already have a MetaMask wallet or a Coinbase wallet or a Phantom wallet, you have self-custody of your assets. If you want to come connect your wallet and use Bond, you can. So we are
Right.
trying to really cater to both. Of course, our first users are crypto users because they already have USDC. They don't have to on-ramp because the on-ramps are actually really bad right now. Still, it's a huge problem that needs to get solved. And so using marketing to crypto people to start, at least to get some user feedback, to get people clicking around on the app, to give us some data is really useful and helpful. And we're certainly doing that. But at the end of the day, my goal is obviously the mainstream because at least today, right, like when I just explained to you the bond mechanism, I don't even need to tell you that it's built on crypto rails. It's not,
No.
it is built on crypto rails. It kind of has to be built on crypto rails, but I don't have to, that's not like a part of the pitch, right? Like yes, sure. The fact that everything's on chain, the fact that you own your audience, that is all true because it is all on chain. But when I explain to you like the core of how this thing works, I don't even need to mention the word crypto or blockchain at all. It's almost like these other things are like cherry on top benefits to building in crypto, but the core, I don't even need to explain it.
Right. Right. So I think just going back to maybe the better phrasing the last question, right? So the creator economy was crowded with these platforms that promise to monetize but fail to find that alignment. So how is Bond really differentiating from all the other creator coin platforms and creator economy monetization tools?
Well, I think it's pretty simple, which is that gamblers are not fans. The reason, if you create something that is for speculation, you're going to get speculators. And it is true that some of those speculators might also be fans, but for the most part, they're not. They're speculators and they're there to extract. And so
Right.
our approach here is to completely eliminate that. We don't want when you bond to somebody, you're not speculating on them. This is not an investment. Like you don't expect a return from the $10 you bond to somebody. You expect access to exclusive content and access to that
Yeah, I
creator,
see.
right? That's what you get in return, right? You're getting a front row seat access to the person that you admire, but you're not expecting at least any return. Sure, could a creator, because this is all on chain and all of their fans are under the hood wallets, could they take money and create a splits contract and split that money across all the people that have bonded to them? They're more than welcome to, but that is not the core, right? That is not the main reason, at least for now, why we think people should bond to others. And I think, by the way, like this stigma of like people losing money, I hate the word rug. I prefer to call it extractive behavior. Because I think the word rug is overused. So, all this extractive behavior is what gives crypto such a bad name in the eyes of the public. It's quite frankly, it hasn't worked. Like we have not successfully broken into the mainstream with these products.
Exactly.
We've had a lot of fun playing inside our crypto bubble with each other, and it's been a blast. But if we want this industry to move to the next stage, we really have to break through that. And so what that means is we might have to leave some of those characteristics behind, one of which being speculation and the casino nature of the industry.
100%. I wonder what are is there any pushback coming from the creator side? Have you, yeah, like getting any, is it so like glowing reviews from your creator partners or any, yeah, potential downside?
Great question. So we have actually had surprisingly a lot of success with creators agreeing at least to make a bond profile. And remember, it's still early stages. So when I say success, I mean like they agree to come on and make a platform. There's no creator on the platform yet that's like actually shared this widely yet because we literally just removed invite codes yesterday. So like it's
Yeah, yeah, I know.
but in terms of getting creators to agree to even like make a profile, think about the hurdle that a creator needs to go through to agree to launch a premium subscription or to launch a meme coin. Let's actually think through these examples because I think it's worth doing. If you're going to launch a premium subscription on Substack or whatever, you kind of need to know upfront a content release schedule that you're going to give to people, right? You have to have stuff prepared. People are going to be paying you $5. You are selling them content. And so you need to be ready. If somebody starts to subscribe to you $5 a month and you don't release anything that month, they're going to complain, right? They're going to be like, give me my $5 back. Likewise, in the case of a meme coin, it's like a big mental hurdle to launch a meme coin. There's a lot of things that go along with it, right? Like You're going to have people that are angry because the price goes down. You're going to have people that want you to manage it. There's, of course, the reputational risk, the financial risk, and the social and the stigma around it, right? So just getting a creator to agree to launch a normal subscription or to launch a meme coin is high. It's a big barrier. But with Bond, what we've honestly been actually a little surprised to see is that they're very quick to agree because they're making no commitment, right? There's no obligation up front. If they launch a Bond profile and somebody bonds, $1,000 to them, and they don't do anything, they don't offer them access, that person can just unbond their money and get their $1,000 back. So it's not like the creator is actually selling something to anybody, right? They're not selling anything. Of course, creators are going to want to, interact with these bonded fans because they want people to keep their bonded money to them, so they're earning the interest. So obviously, over the long term, they're going to have to do things to keep people bonded. But at least to launch it on day one, they're not launching a coin, so they're not afraid of any financial risk.
Right.
And they're not committing to anything up front. And so actually we found that getting creators to agree early on has been surprisingly faster than we expected. But again, I'm not counting my chickens yet. It's still early days, and I know we're going to run into troubles. So let's see what
No,
happens.
I think you made a really good point, right? To kind of find this in between solution. Like it could be like free subscription that anybody can then access, right? But that's meaningless kind of a relationship, right, between the fan and the creator. There's really literally zero alignment on that relationship, and there's also you have to pay whatever 200 or even just a few $20, right, a month type of a subscription model. But then it's almost creating too much pressure upfront to the creator. So you kind of found that in between nice little space where both sides have this, I don't want to call it casual relationship, but also a relationship where they can continue to adjust and
It's lighter.
on top of. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very interesting. And I think that the bonding and unbonding mechanism, I really wanted to try out and see how smooth the UI is, because certainly to me it sounds like it does create a little bit of a friction for a non Web3 person, but I trust making
You should
this
try
very,
it.
very easy.
I think it's pretty good. But that's our biggest challenge, though, right? Is this
Yeah,
idea
exactly.
that you can bond money to someone and then get it back is not natural, right? That is not like a consumer behavior that has been around in other apps in the world, right? And so
Yeah.
the
I think
education,
it's not even natural outside of Web3. It's
yeah,
so natural to us, but
yes,
when you talk, when I explain this to my mom, she would not know what the heck I'm talking about.
yeah.
Like, what even unbonding?
It's
So
gonna be it's gonna be some
yeah,
education. But you know what? Look, I'm optimistic because I think there are a lot of things that, like, if I'll say a word that you definitely know what it means, but like when it first happened, people were like, "What the hell does that mean?" How about a
right.
retweet?
Right.
Like now it's like obvious. Like, on day one, like a retweet. What do you mean? Oh, like you repost and shit. Like what is it like? So look, that's any new consumer behavior is gonna have a little bit of a education hurdle. So
Yeah.
that's gonna be
Yeah.
our challenge.
Awesome, awesome. What do you think is the main kind of a creator space that can we activate with this? I mean, I guess we will start with music side, right? Just because your brother's your relationship. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think definitely musicians
Mm-hmm.
is a type of creator that we have some musicians on the platform today.
Yeah.
I think we're still honestly exploring which type of creator is going to be the best. We don't know yet, so we're in this user data gathering stage where we're trying to see
Yeah.
which works the best for. My theory, if I had to choose one, would be I call them a thought leader, okay, which is all the people on X who post really good takes, opinions about the market, trends, people who
Mm,
basically I don't even want
that's
to
a good point.
I don't even want to call them a Substack writer, because if you're a Substack writer, you're a writer, right? You're writing these long form blogs, but there are a lot of people who they're analysts, they have opinions, people follow them because they want to hear what they have to say, but they're not necessarily full on writers. So I call them a thought leader. And I think
Hmm.
this is a very interesting category because there are thought leaders that exist that I would
I
absolutely
love that.
know,
Yeah.
want to. Because here's the thing, right? I think I follow maybe 20 or so in total newsletters and podcasters.
Hmm.
And all of them are independent, and they all have to monetize some way, and they all have subscriptions. They're all and these subscriptions are probably, some of them range from I don't know, maybe $10 a month, let's say. realistically, I am not going to subscribe $10 a month to 20 creators, right? And
Right.
it's not about me being cheap, right? It's just the subscription fatigue, the overhead of managing this, the fact that my credit card bill is going to get pinged every month with $10, $10, $10. It's expensive and it's a lot of friction, right?
Hmm.
However, I want a way to support them. And I would absolutely bond 10, 50, $100 one time to these people that I follow, especially with the knowledge that I could take it back when I want, right? To support them and get access to their premium content or to get through the paywall. And so for me as a fan, especially as someone that reads a lot and follows a lot of these thought leaders, this is something that I want, right? Like I would totally love for all
I
the people
love that.
to
Yeah.
read this.
That is just wow, that's just like shattering that ceiling of like this creator concept for me entirely. Like in my mind, that creator has to be somebody who's, actually in the creative field. So I love how you almost made it clear to me that like everybody can become a creator, right? So it's almost like a new way of social networking, right? You can have, yeah, your blogs or your tweets,
Maybe the
going
one
out to your fans that way.
Exactly. Maybe the one debate that my brother and I have just talked about for hours and hours and hours is what do we call the people on the platform? Right? We started as artists,
Mm.
then we changed it to creators. Now we're thinking about calling it thought leaders. And the reason is because like everyone has their own opinion about what is what, right? Like
Right.
I think everyone's an artist, but people just only refer to music artists and like visual artists as artists. But like I think magicians are artists, but like the world
Right.
doesn't agree with that. Creators, it's like even weirder. It's like okay, are you a content creator? Does that mean you're a YouTuber? What about a podcaster? Is that an auto creator? It's like weird. It's funny. I tweeted this thing the other day, a lot of people liked it, but it was like developers, like engineers, they're creators.
Right.
If you are writing creative apps or SDKs and software and publishing it on GitHub for other people to use, you are a creator by
Mhm.
definition. But like people don't think about it that way because it's not like
Exactly.
glamorous, it's not like artsy, you know. And so coming up with the word has actually been like really hard. Today I was thinking like obviously I think thought leader is probably really good for this specific type of creator. But I was thinking today, I'm like, what if we just say bond with others, whoever it is? It doesn't even matter. It's almost irrelevant because I think the end state of this product, if it goes the way I want, is like this is not actually a fan to creator product. This is an everybody to everybody product. Like everybody has a bond profile, and
That's interesting.
like Joanna, like I've known you for a long time. Like I might want to bond to you just to signal how much I respect you or my endorsement of you, right? You might
Hmm.
not necessarily be giving me any, exclusive content necessarily, but the act of
Right.
bonding is a way for me to like sponsor and endorse you as another person. So we'll see if we get there.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's really the next stage of the game, right? It's like to take this to the next level of, yeah, I mean, almost like creating the new social media
Exactly.
that can be competing with, maybe X
Yeah,
someday.
because if I start out that way, that's like really hard. I can't do like I'm not gonna try and take on X or Facebook today because that's like a losing game, right? I'm not gonna try.
Right. Fair enough. Fair enough. What do you think is the right metrics that can point to successful path for you, like in the next 3 months, let's say, 3 to 6 months, let's say.
Yeah, I think like the one thing that I have been checking the most that I think I care the most about right now is just like the unique number of bonded users. So the unique
Mhm.
number of wallets that have bonded money. The reason why I find that important is because what that will hopefully show over time is like that it could encapsulate this idea that like I might bond $5 to you and I continue to bond $5 to you, right? I left it in. Like I'm not unbonding. I'm committed
Mhm.
to you for a long amount of time, and so hopefully that number, of course, keeps going up and to the right. But obviously that number also would tell us like if for whatever reason we get to a point where people are bonding and then unbonding very quickly for whatever reason, maybe it's the steal content, maybe it's a flash loan, I don't know, right? That metric will also reflect that behavior too. So, like unique number of bonded users is something that we pay attention to, and obviously while I think this is a very bad metric for other protocols, I think for us, eventually, not now, but eventually, TVL is
Yeah.
pretty important because total amount bonded is kind of significant in the sense that, if we have as a protocol, let's say $2 million in TVL, that means that that's $2 million of money that users have committed and bonded to creators in total, which I think is a very powerful metric and statement as like
Mhm.
a global bond economy overview, like how much money is at stake, right? And so I think for us that will be an important metric. But right now, I care more about like unique number of bonded users. Are people
Yeah,
actually?
yeah, that makes sense. Wait, another question. So, as a thought leader, okay, on the platform, how do we incentivize? I mean, is there like a way to? Because it sounds like it's very kind of like so far as like the creator, sorry, the audience will get to pick the creator, right? And then we'll bond with them, and then choose the amount to bond with this creator. How do you flip the side and make sure the other side also can directly kind of address the audience? And I don't know how to describe it, but almost like a advertising to the audience that, hey, like for all of you who wants to bond with me, you will get XYZ, list of content, premium content from me. Is that on the roadmap?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's our goal, right? Like we want creators that join to share their bond profile on
Right.
X, TikTok, Instagram, wherever to get their fans to come and bond to them because X already offers subscriptions on your profile. But something
Exactly.
that's very interesting, and Instagram does too. You could see this on Instagram. I don't think X lets you see how many people are subscribed, but I see people who have 250,000, 250,000 followers, but only 250 subscribers.
Right. Right.
That gap is massive, right? And to me, that gap is massive because I think subscriptions are a broken mechanic for
Yeah.
creators to monetize
Yeah.
an audience, right? It didn't work, right? If you have 250,000 followers and only 250 people are paying you $5 a month, that means it doesn't work, right? That's a
So
broken
that's
mechanism,
pretty, yeah,
right?
that's
My
absurd.
hope is that by the bonding mechanism, which makes it cheaper for the fan, right, because of everything we've discussed,
Hmm.
helps the creator fill some of that gap, right? And
Hmm.
it becomes, a really important mechanism for the creator to essentially get a verified audience list of real humans with real intent, right? It's real humans because like you got to bond money, right? Bots are like people could pay for followers,
Right.
bots are followers,
Right.
right? And so you're
Good point. Yeah.
people who have bonded to you, it's like a real high intent audience list. If somebody bonds $100 to you and stays there, that person is like very intentional about showing how much they support you. You can
Hmm.
probably sell more things to them in the future. That is very valuable data for an artist or a creator to have. And why do they want this information? Because the 250,000 followers that you might have, when you post on these platforms, that post does not reach 250,000 followers. In fact, actually, if you want it to reach 250,000 followers, all your followers, you have to pay the platform to boost it $50 or $100 a day to even get there. So all of a sudden, this like, oh, like people who follow me, it's my audience, like they're not your audience. You can't even reach them, right?
Hmm.
So what creators, I think, want and what they've expressed to us and what I felt myself as a creator, because like I said, everyone's a creator, is if I could have a list of people that I knew believed in me and followed me and cared about what I had to say and that were really intentional, that's like the ultimate first step to, being an independent creator on the internet, which I think a lot of people are doing today. So
Right.
that's the vision.
So what is the first part that you need to cultivate, right? Because it's kind of a chicken nugget situation. You want to get the high quality creators onto your platform first, or to your point, like the high intent individuals onto your platform
Yeah.
first.
Well, this is a big question that I've been thinking about. I think today we're going supply side first, which is,
Okay.
we want to seed this marketplace with creators who have things to offer their fans, and then the hope is that those creators share this with their fans to bring them onboarded.
Right.
Instead of it being like, a fan comes to Bond, explores a little bit around what creators are available and bonds to them. That's like very demand side, right? I'm focusing more on supply side and with the hope
Hmm.
that creators share their profiles individually with their audience.
Yeah.
That's the first attempt. Of course, the opposite, which is, demand first, is another option. It's very aggressive, which is why we're not doing it to date, right? So, for example, right, like I could just give people bond profiles, which is like a lot of creator platforms have tried this. Like you give the icon, the influencer, their profile without asking their permission and let people just
Right.
start bond to them with the idea that if some profile, like I don't know, like Tom Brady or whatever, gets $1 million
Viral. Yeah.
bonded to him,
Yeah.
maybe he'll pay attention and come to the platform.
Yeah.
Which,
Right.
I think that might work. Also, like, it's a great way to make people hate you. And I'm not trying to make people hate you because they didn't ask for that. They didn't ask for, people sometimes are uncomfortable. They don't want to have money modded to them. This is not for everybody. And so I'm not quite at the point yet where I want to do that aggressive strategy. But look, it's certainly on the table.
Yeah. 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 Yeah, awesome. Okay, let's close it out. I usually start asking questions about, your recommendation for the next interview or interviewee. Who would you recommend? I guess Justin could be one since we
True,
didn't
that's
get
true.
him today.
Obviously, of course, I have to recommend
Yeah, that's obviously a good choice.
Butter.
Anybody else that you think it's a good founder can provide good founder perspectives?
Yeah, I mean, I'll give you two. I'd say
Sure.
either, um, wow. I've worked with so many great founders at A16Z now. I feel like I can't even mention any of them because then I'll be like singling one of them out or whatever. But it's kind of hard to say. Oh, it's really hard. I'll tell you this. I think like uh, two sets of founders that I worked extremely closely with at A16Z that I think would definitely be worthy people of having. Actually, I'll give you three that I think would be
Amazing.
totally worthy of having on the podcast. I'd say Yoni and Itai from
Hmm.
Dynamic.xyz. I think are great. Austin
Yeah.
Diamond from Universal or alongside. It's called Universal now. Or
Hmm.
Kayvon from Foundation or Rodeo.
Oh, okay.
And so I think these guys are forces to be reckoned with, and I think
Hmm.
your audience would definitely benefit from listening to their stories.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, we started this whole podcast with the idea that we seen too many like KOL types that likes to show the coin or talk about price all day long. I just think it's so important to go back to the basics and really understanding like why we're building what we're building. So appreciate that perspective. Any last closing words, spicy takes? Yeah, this is your chance.
Yeah, I'll give you a spicy take. I think I've told this to you already. I think I told this to you at base camp. We were in the car,
Yeah, I already know which one.
like, I don't think we have enough time for me to really break this down. So if anyone wants to talk more about it, you could DM me or we could talk more about it. Which is like, I do not think, and I don't even think this is spicy anymore. I think people have all come around to this take now. But maybe when I first thought of it, it felt spicy. It's like I don't think every project needs a token.
Hmm.
And if it is something that you wanna consider, like I would focus on getting product market fit first before designing a token. And so I think that would probably be um my opinion. I mean, the only caveat there is like there are arguably some projects that like by design need a token. Like it's critical. Like obviously like the category of projects that fall into this is like infrastructure, right? And so like that's like a different discussion, but at least I think at the app layer for the most part is where I think this probably stands. But again,
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
opinion has changed over the years, so I'm sure it will continue to change in the future.
Yeah, and we very much looking forward to seeing product market fit coming on a bound.
I hope so.
Yeah, I would be the first one to try it out after this call and
Please.
give you my little user feedback.
I would love that. I would definitely love that.
Amazing. Thanks so much, Michael. Yeah, always great to have you on the show. Always great to bounce ideas off each other.
Of course.